Okay, so let me go back again to say, generally then, the first test is going to be 3 main questions. The first one, definition, with a little bit of details. Second question, from the terminologies, the poetry terminologies. The second, identifying and explaining sections of poetry, so 3 quotations, and I specify what I want from those quotations. And the last question is paraphrasing. I will give you a section of a poem which we have not read, and this is important. Unseen poem, a poem which we have not studied in class. A poem which we have not studied in class. We call unseen poem. But you see, I am with you here in the exam. If you find something you want to ask about a difficult word or anything, you can ask me and I will answer you. But I put for you sometimes difficult words, I put them in the margin, you know, in a smaller font. On the right margin, I will sometimes put for you the difficult words, if there are difficult words in my view. So, unseen poem, paraphrasing, to rephrase in your own language style. You don't need to know the poem, because the poem, not exact words. You have to rephrase it in your own. Of course, there are some words which would remain in your paraphrasing. You know, there are certain words which would remain there. I'm not saying the phrases that in the poem. And I say analyze, meaning to give me your own feelings and ideas about this poem. And when I say at the end, of course, you say, well, the figures of speech in this poem, we have a metaphor here, for example, and the metaphor is this, because the poet compares this . Oh, I seem to have lost connection. Hello?
Hello, Doctor. Welcome back.
Hello.
Yeah, maybe I lost connection. I don't know how. Only maybe less than 1 minute. So this is it. Any question about the exam?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah?
The last part, because it was lacking, I couldn't hear your explanation.
I was talking about the paraphrasing. The paraphrasing, I say, the paraphrasing of the poem, you should rewrite it in your own prose style, and you can divide it into 2-3 paragraphs. It's the way you want to explain the poem, and you start line by line explaining ideas, rephrasing ideas and things what the poet is saying. So explain and paraphrase means rephrase in your own phrases, in your own language. Okay? So this is really the second question. The last question, which is number 3. And as I said, it's an unseen poem. Poem we have not seen before, you have not seen before, or we have not given in class here. Something I did not give you in class. Again, I said I will be here with you. If you need if you need any question, you can ask me. You can send me through the chat, or you can send me WhatsApp messages, and I can reply for you, no problem. Yeah? Good? Yes, so let's go back to, I stopped last time. I was in the last stanza of Sydney's poem about, in the last section you do the paraphrasing, right? You say, in this poet here is expressing deep emotion and deep feeling and deep love when he says that, you know, his mouth became full of water because of the feeling that he feels towards this woman. And he said here, you know, my breast doth swell, meaning either of anger or of, you know, wish, or, you know, if you like, emotion or whatever. So here you can see the exaggeration of the poet's expressions of feelings about his love or this woman. And when he said, my tongue doth itch, you know, when he wants to say, I want to tell you a lot of things, and I feel I want to scratch my tongue because I have a lot of things to say. And again, my thoughts in labor B means I'm thinking a lot. I have a lot of things in my mind. My thoughts are working and my mind is working, because the word labor means really work here, and means busy. I'm trying to think and think and think because I want to tell you a lot of things. And that's why he said, listen then, lordings, means, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me carefully. Open your ears to me carefully. For of my life, I must add an enigma, a strange, unbelievable, mysterious story. I'm going to tell you, I must tell you a little. So this is how we paraphrase. Do you follow? Do you follow?
Yes.
حسبي الله حسبي الله. استغفر الله. Hello.
Hello, Doctor.
I don't know. I'm losing connection today a lot. What's well? Now I was still in that section of the poem, trying to finish it. Really, it's quite interesting. As I said, I was giving you the example of how we can paraphrase, and the next 4 lines in the last stanza, stanza 37, I was reading the end of Astrophil and Stella, and the poet speaker here is talking about this woman where she lives. He said, towards Aurora court a nymph doth dwell. Here he's using again mythology, and because the word Aurora, as you can see here, I have a footnote. Aurora in Roman mythology is the goddess of the dawn, so the symbol of the beginning of the day, the dawn. And in Greek mythology is called Eos, and the dawn here has her court in the east, meaning where she is, where she lives. And the word court really means her palace or her place or her dwelling place. But he says she's a nymph, again using the word nymph, like those angels. And so he said, towards the dawn that nymph lives. And he said, rich in all beauties which man's eye can see. She is very rich in all sorts of beauties that everybody considers to be beautiful. Everything that any man can see is completely in her, all sorts of beauties. And he goes on to say, beauty is so far from each of words, meaning beauties that you cannot describe. Words cannot describe, cannot really explain, cannot contain, because the language even here, he wants to say, is unable to describe her beauty. That we abase her praise, saying, even if we, that's why he said maybe the words are not, so that's why, meaning her praise, abase enough, because the language is not good enough to describe her beauty. And that's when he says excel, meaning she's far, far, far more beautiful than the language of beauty. Of course, he's exaggerating again here. And remember, again, he's using the word rich, because originally this is her name in real life, And the same footnote I said, notice here, Penelope Devereux Rich, the original of Stella, dwells in Essex.
You are muted, doctor.
Yeah. What's going on today with this network? Okay, so I was talking about William Blake here on page 23, 24. You know, I have a little introduction about him. Please read that. William Blake, and the poem I'm giving you today is one example of his poetry, because really all of his poetry, remember William Blake in general was really one of the early founders of romanticism, really. One of the first early founders of romanticism in England and maybe in Europe, really. And his poems are really very emotional and very, really influential in every sense. So here, this poem could be seen as an example, a good example. I mean, most poetry, all poetry, as I said before, have the same thing, which is the tone and the theme, because themes are all the time there. So I'm just saying here that this is only just a little example of that. And the poem here is called London. And here the poet is talking about London life in a very, really miserable way. And notice it's a very short stanza, or I should say stanzaic poem. Each stanza 4 lines, as you can. Through each charted street, near where the charted Thames doth flow, a mark in every face I meet, marks of weakness, marks of woe. Notice, in every cry of every man, in every infant's cry of fear, in every voice, in every banished sweeper's cry, every blackening church appeals, or sorry, appalls, and the hapless soldiers, how the useful harlot's curse blasts the new infant's tear and blights with plagues the marriage hearse. Now, immediately you can see here, really this is a rhyme poem. Notice here, street, meet, flow, woe. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, doctor.
I'm getting angry about this. I lost connections hundreds of times. What's going on? Are you also losing connections in your places? Or it's only me?
It's only you, I think.
Boys and girls?
It depends on the place I am sitting in.
Signal, the internet is completely full. But you see, now I lost connection again. I'm losing connection. You lost connection. Okay, I'm back again. I'm sorry, this is really strange. It never happened like this before. I have lost connections many times. I don't know why. Anyway, I was reading the poem London. Here he's he's describing London as really in very hard times. I was saying to you that the rhyme in the poem is very clear, and the meter is very clear. You can see, notice, I wandered through each charted street, near where the charted Thames doth flow. You know, iambic tetrameter, 4. I wander through each charted street, near where the charted Thames doth flow. A mark in every face I meet, marks of weakness, marks of woe. Again here, maybe there is, you say weakness, you know, marks of weakness, marks of woe. Again, you know, you can see it very clear, you know, iambic tetrameter, and we have rhyme, you know, A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, blah, blah, blah. Now, really the poet here, again, the tone is very sad. He's very unhappy to see the city of London in a very difficult time, in a very miserable time. He said, everywhere I go in the streets of London, in every single street, near the Thames River, you know, the main big river in London, you know, everywhere in the streets of London, you know, he said, I see in everywhere, he said, in every face I see, in every man I meet, they are all weak, they are all tired. You can see, he said, marks of weakness, marks of woe. You know, the people of London are very weak and very miserable, very sad for some reason, he said. Meaning everybody is being tired, everybody is being worked out, everybody is being, you know, given a lot of, you know, maybe misery during the hard times of England in the early 19th century, the beginning of the industrial, you know, time when people were crazy about work and about factories and every difficult thing. And in the next stanza, he said the same thing. In every cry of every man, every infant's cry of fear, in every voice, in every band, the mind-forged manacles I hear. The same thing he is repeating, you know, emphasizing the same thing. Every cry, every man, you know, every voice that I hear, whatever people say, anybody, whatever they say, you can feel the pain. You can feel the real agony. Even, he said, even in the cries of children, you can feel even in the voices and the cries of children, you can hear the sounds of fear. Again, every voice in every band, in every village, in every place, because here the word band could be in any place, in every quarter of the whole country. Again, the mind-forged manacles I hear, as if to say, you know, something which is really will take you, will blow up your mind, will blow out your mind, will make you feel crazy to feel all this, the thing that you hear. When you hear stories about what's going on about these people in the bad, absolutely miserable life that they are having, if you hear these stories, your mind will be blown out. And again, he said, especially he said, how the chimney sweepers cry. So he gives the example, the children, the chimney sweepers, those kids who work in chimneys. Every blackening church appalls, even churches, even, you know, places of worship are becoming black and dark of the soot that comes out from factories. You know, and he said that the hapless soldiers sigh. Even soldiers seem to be absolutely restless and helpless and miserable. Again, runs in blood down palace walls. Again, you know, as if to say they are running for blood, or in their blood, if you like, in miserable circumstances. And he said the palace walls, you know, could be any place, not necessarily the palace for the king or the queen, for example. And he goes on, you know, but most through midnight streets I hear how the youthful harlots curse. Even he goes on to say how the streets of London are full of bad women. People how, you know, are forced into the streets to work as prostitutes and bad women who sell their bodies for money. And he said, even in the middle of the nights, when you hear babies, illegal babies born, and the way these babies were born by you know, terrible women like that, or women of the streets. And I think this is really amazing poem here. Very sad, very miserable. And the tone, you can see the tone of anger blasts the newborn infant's tear and blights with plagues the marriage hearse. You know, you can see here he's comparing the hearse for marriage and the hearse of death. You know, the carriage for carrying the bride and bridegroom, or the carriage which carries the dead body. You know, this absolute contrast here, comparing death and marriage in a very amazing thing. You can't differentiate between the two, you know, spectacles, you know, which is really very tragical. So the poem here, we can see very short, very nice, I think very short and very nice, and the rhyme is lovely, and the meter is good. As you can see, iambic, you know, tetrameter. Okay, so this is another example about that. And there is another one I will give you quickly today, because I have lost a lot of time, and I will go to Elizabeth Browning, and she is really an amazing example. Browning, remember I gave you some of her poems by her husband. Where is it? Browning, come on, Browning. Yeah, here. Robert Browning, sorry, Elizabeth Browning, she's the wife of Elizabeth, sorry, the wife, astaghfirullah. Elizabeth Browning, she's the wife of Robert Browning. As you can see, she's called Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Page, you can see page 36. Did I lose connection again? No, I say the page 36, 36. Really, Elizabeth Browning is an amazing woman. I think to me she's more intelligent than her husband. And you know, many people think, I think many people think that she made her husband even more popular through her own really creative imagination. And you know, there is a lovely poem here called How Do I Love Thee? Ya Sultan.
Yes, Doctor.
And Ya Ammar, and Ya Ismail, and Ya Anas. I have 4 boys here. Right?
Yes.
Yes,
If
Doctor.
you see a lovely woman and you say, oh, كيف أحبك, isn't it? How do you say it in your Omani accent? كيف أحبك.
I didn't try it.
Isn't it? Means you look at someone and you really love her and you want to say, oh, how much I love you. And here, the speaker here, the poem here is telling us, and she is saying this to her husband in a very absolutely lovely way. And she's saying to him, how do I love thee? How do I love thee? كيف أحبك? كيف لي أن أحبك? Right? Which is really a lovely poem. How do I love thee? You know? And this is, of course, the question here. She starts, يعني كيف بدي أحبك؟ خبرني يا عيني يا حبيبي يا قلبي كيف أحبك؟ Right? You understand? And really, this is absolutely lovely. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. So let me tell you how I can love you. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight. For the ends of being and ideal grace, I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love with a passion put to use in my old griefs. and with my childhood faith. I love thee with a love I seem to lose. With my lost saints, I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. And if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. يا أنس. يا أنس.
Yes, doctor.
عمار. ويا عمار احم على بكرة الصبح يا فتاح يا عليم يا دكتور.
Yes.
If you have a woman who says this to you, you must be absolutely lucky. Yes, because this woman is saying that I love you in all kinds of ways, and this woman is capable of love that we men are not. What do you think?
I think I will be so lucky.
Yeah, and we say, yeah, and women can also have the same, and even far, maybe more, maybe, but we will see here. Let me explain it here. Girls, I did not ask you, girls, you can speak if you want, but really this is a lovely, absolutely emotional poem. The exaggeration here. Elizabeth Browning is talking to her husband here in real life. She said, how can I love you? I love you in all kinds of ways. She said, let me tell you, let me count the ways. And I think one of my previous class, one of my students, ex-students here at Sultan Qaboos University, translated this to me in Arabic, which is really an amazing translation. I think let me see if I find it for you. Because translation I have this young lady, how one of my students is really lovely. دعني أعد أساليب حبي بكل احتمال، أحبك حتى نهايات روحي بعمق وعرض يطول الخيال. أواريك what's this؟ أواريك حبي بعيدا بقلبي لأقصى الوجود وفضل الجمال. أحب لأهدي ما تشتهيه بضوء النهار ووهج الليال. أحب بحرية يا رفيقي كمثل النضال لحق الكمال. And so on. You know, this is really amazing translation. She gave this, you know, in a really lovely poem. She did that, and you know, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a really lovely poem. If you want, I can send you this to you, because this is one of my students translated this to Arabic, and she sent it to me to look at, which is really an amazing translation. I thought this is really even better than the English one. Yeah. So to go back to the poem, notice here she said, let me count the ways. I love you to the depth and breadth of height, And this is what she said, you know, أعالي الجبال, you know, the depth and height of breadth and height, again, thee to the depth and breadth and height of my soul can reach. Meaning how much my soul can have, I will love you even more. When feeling out of sight for the end of being an ideal grace, again, you know, more, far more than even what my own being can have, and my own ideal grace, my own real, you know, passion. I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need, by sun and candlelight. Again, you know, the exaggeration here about the day, as how much the day can give me, you know, the level of every day's most quiet need, by sun and candlelight. You know, to say here the whole entire day, during the whole day, even day and night, not just the sun, but she said during, you know, the 24 hours time, I will love you all the time. Most quiet need, by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely, as men strive for right. Meaning I love you even more, as much as, even far more than what men try to be righteous, to strive, to try, to attempt to be right. I love thee purely, as they turn from praise. Again, I love you even a purer way, in far more purely than anything else. As they turn from praise, meaning no praise will be enough to my praise. Meaning what I say is far more better than anybody else's praise. I love thee with a passion put to use in my old graves. Even during all my years of time, I love you even more through experience. All these years have been put into practice. I love you through those. In my old graves, again, whether I'm happy or sad, I'm still, you know, I love you. With my childhood's faith, even I love you more than the faith that children have. Remember, we know that the innocence of children, you know, she said, even when the same, even more powerful love than the love of the children and the innocence of children, and the same value or the same volume of love. I love you, I love thee with a love I seem to lose with my lost saints. Again, notice here, because she said thee means you. I love you more, she said, that even she said, I love you more, even more than the feeling that I'm starting to lose the faith, or to lose, as if I'm losing my angels or my saint, because here lost with my lost saints, you know, as if my lost angels, you know, I as if I'm running after you as my lost, absolutely lost angel. Again, she said, I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. And if God choose, I shall but love thee better than death. She said, I will love you in all kinds of things, in smiles, in tears, and all my life. And if God gave me more life, she said, I will love you forever. And even after death, I will still love you. She said, I shall but love thee better after death. Even after death, I love you better. Wow. I don't know. I think she's not telling, she's very exaggerating, isn't it?
Yes, she is.
She is. Yeah, of course. She, you know, she's amazing. You know, the way she's describing all this. Notice here, she said, فكيف, I want to repeat the last few lines, how my good, lovely student explained it. She said, فكيف أحبك قل لي بحب تراني نسيته في زائري أحبك حتى يذوب فؤادي ومجمل أنفاسي السائر أحبك في كل ما قد عهدت بدمعي وتهليل الهامر إذا اختارني الله يوما فحبي يضاف على عمر العابر. You know, this is how she really changed this into really lovely rhyme poetry in Arabic. I thought this student really was a poet. The way she did it, she was a poetess, I think. You know, really, she noticed the last line when she said, إذا اختارني الله يوما فحبي يضاف على عمري العابر. Look how she changed it. It's really lovely. What do you think?
She's really a good student. I like the way she wrote it. It's like as if she is writing her own poet.
Absolutely, really, the way she did it, it's amazing. And I really gave her an excellent mark because she's really an intelligent, absolutely creative student. Anyway, now she has graduated, maybe last year graduated. Now, this poet really, as you can see, what kind of feeling you have here? You know, it's a lot of tone. The tone here, notice the tone and the feeling and the ideas and so on. The same poet, she said, go from me. The same poet. Look on page, the same page. حل عني يعني حل عني يا أخي اعفيني يعني. You understand? Did I lose connection again?
No.
Hello?
No, you haven't lost connection.
Look at the next poem. Go from me. As if you are kicking someone from your life. But really here, again, it's a lovely poem. When you say to someone you love, روح عني, حل عني يا حبيبي. But really you don't mean it. Go from me. Yet I feel that I shall stand henceforth in thy shadow. Ala.
Yes.
How do you say to someone, go from here, get lost, and then you say, yet I feel that I shall stand in your shadow.
Like go away, but not that far.
Exactly. Again, as I said maybe last time to you, again, when you don't believe someone, يعني لا تروح ولا تجي. Really, this is the idea. The idea about the hesitation. Go and not go, Yet, she said, yet I feel that I shall stand henceforth in thy shadow. Nevermore alone upon the threshold of my door of individual life. I shall command the uses of my soul, nor lift my hand. Serenely the sunshine as before, without the sense of that which I forbore. Thy touch upon the palm, the widest land doom takes to part us, leaves thy heart in mine with pulses that beat double. What I do and what I dream include thee, as the wine must taste of its own grapes. And when I sue God, when I sue God of myself, he hears the name of thine and sees within my eyes the tears of two. Really, again, this is a lovely poem. Go from me. If you love someone and she said, روح حل عني, روح ما عاد بدي إياك, don't believe them. Don't believe it. Don't, because they don't mean it. And here, this is what she is saying here. Go from me. روح عني يا أخي, حل عن ظهري. Right? حل عن كتافي, Allah يرحم أبوك. Right? And then she said, no. How can you go? And she counts how many. She said, yet I feel that I live in your shadow. How can you go? Don't believe me if I say go from me. I shall stand henceforth. From today onwards, I will be in your shadow. Never more alone upon the threshold of my door. Even if you go and I will be in my house, I will never be alone. At the entrance of my door of my house, I will always be with you. Of individual life, you think I will be alone, but I will be with you. I shall command the uses of my soul. I will continue to see what my soul means. I shall command the uses of my soul, nor lift my hand serenely in the sunshine as before, without the sense of that which I forbore. She said, every movement I make, everything I do, if I raise my hand or my eyes or my soul, everything I do is for you and, with you, without the sense of that which I forbore, means without the sense of your love. Thy touch upon the palm, the way you touch me upon my hand, I feel the way you touch my hand. The widest land doom takes to part us. Even if you die and go away, far, far, far away from, into distant lands, no matter how wide you go, leaves thy heart in mine. If you go, your heart will be mine. Your heart will be in my heart, and you will never disappear from me. With pulses that beat double, my heart will pulse twice, for your heart and for my heart, because your heart is in my heart, and my heart will be beating for both of us, for both our lives. The widest, notice this really absolutely, very strong idea here. The widest land doom takes to part us, leaves thy heart in mine. Even we were separated far, 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 far away, and land separated us. No, your heart will be within my heart, and my heart will give your heart life, because my heart will be beating for both of us. Notice the pulses, with pulses that beat double, meaning for your life and for my life. What I do and what I dream include thee. Everything I do includes you. As the wine must taste of its own grapes. Like in the way we make wine from grapes. How can you separate the wine from the grapes? Because the wine will taste from the grapes. Your heart tastes from my heart, and my heart tastes from your heart. And this is absolutely lovely. Again, our great poem here, really. This is, Browning here. And yet, she said, and when I sue God for myself, he hears that name of thine. Even when I speak and when I go to God, God will hear your voice in my voice. If I speak and if I say my name, your name will be there. Of course, here you can see in her real life, she's Browning and her husband is Browning. God for myself. God will hear that name of thine. God will hear your name in my name, in my voice, and sees within my eyes the tears of two. And God will see me crying, and I will be crying your tears and my tears in the same, in my eyes. My eyes will give the tears of your eyes and my eyes, and God will forgive us for all of this. Boys.
Yes, doctor.
Maybe she's Kazaba, isn't it?
Probably.
Well, probably. Yeah, really, this is an amazing poem. I don't mean this. Really, she's a lovely, absolutely lovely poet. I like her. She's absolutely excellent to me. I thought, notice her husband Robert Browning gave a funny example, when he talked about My Last Duchess. The man was killing women, whereas here the woman, she's dying for her husband, for her man. You can see here the contrast. Her husband is a wicked man. I mean, the speaker of that poem, killing women, whereas here his wife is giving us examples of, of a man, as you can see, or I should say of a woman who is absolutely, honorable and completely honest and loving and caring and so on to her husband. And really, this is a lovely example, ladies and gentlemen. Now, really, this is all about tone and theme. I think I gave you more than enough. London, how do I love thee, go from me. And if I conclude today only briefly, because the next lecture I will give you the example of musicality, which is the rhythm and the rhyme and alliteration and assonance. And I will give you the example of The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And I will go back to William Blake and maybe William Wordsworth and give you more examples of really what I call here musicality and rhyme and rhythm and alliteration and assonance and so on. This is to do again with what we call really figures of speech. And if I start, I told you last time when I began, I think this, I gave you an example of Edgar Allan Poe, and here I gave you one example, Annabel Lee, and the second example is The Raven, page 42. Notice here, page 42. I will give you maybe 3-5 stanzas of this poem. Really, it's a lovely poem, absolutely lovely poem, but it's written is a strange, well, not strange, it's really in the trochaic, again, meter, again, very long example of really octameter, which is really amazing, really poem. Now, I will do that for you next time. The first thing I will do that next time. The Raven. Please read it. Please try to read it for next time, just to have a sense of it. Read it and see, because I gave you explanation for that. The whole, and I even talked about the musicality. Look at the details. I gave you the notes. I gave you enough notes to look at it when I give it as an example of, as I said, which is the trochaic meter. Okay? I will do that next time. Any question?
No, thank you, Doctor.
Now, I have somebody who's absent today. Someone, only one man, maybe one girl. Ala, Ammar, Anas, Ismail, Layla, Nabiha, Reem, Sultan. Who else? I have someone else. Who's this? Let me see. Let me see quickly. I will see, because today Today my system is not the attendance system is not operating. I don't know what's wrong with it. This technology is really, they are really funny. Sometimes yeah, where is it? Let me check. سلطان نبيها أنس إسماعيل عمار آلاء ريم هاجر. هاجر. Hajar is not here. Correct? Hajar, are you here, ya Hajar? Hajarun, no. Ala Ammar Anas Ismail Layla. Yeah, Hajar is not here. Okay, right. Any question, anything, girls and boys?
No, thank you.